It's Cos Finger, baby. It's Cos Finger, baby.
I'm Bruce Eugene, Offensive Coordinator, Canarsie High School. A little bit about myself. Originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I played college ball at Grambling State University. I am Grambling's all-time leading passer. I still have the record for most passing touchdowns in a college football career with 140. I was fortunate enough to get a chance to make it to the next level with the Tampa Bay Bucks and New Orleans Saints. I played a little arena 2 ball with the Green Bay Blizzard, and I also got a chance to play up in Canada with the Saskatchewan Roughriders and overseas with the Berlin Thunder. So I've been around the way. I've learned some football from some of the best coaches around. Unfortunately, John Gruden on that list. I know how many people might feel about John Gruden, but John Gruden, Doug Williams, Melvin Spears, UConn wide receiver coach currently, John Allen. So I've been around some great offensive minds that has helped me to get to this point. My first time meeting Gene, I met him at Christ the King High School in the auditorium. He came in, he and his pops, Big Gene, they came in to see Christ the King, what we had to offer. It was funny seeing Gene come in. He had this little Jersey swag, but it was funny, real quiet and chill. But you knew he had some stuff with him. We talked and everything else. I didn't think he was gonna come back after we talked and what we had in and what was coming back and things like that. But his pops was intrigued by what we had to offer, especially myself, and he came back, and now we here. It was just about myself, what I'm saying? What I do with kids, most kids that come in my circle, I make them my own, and, I get them out there, exposure. Offensively, being a wide receiver, offense is what I do. So, what I'm saying? I had many ways to get him the ball and make him become a better receiver, better offensive threat. So, it wasn't much to pull his arm and everything else, but I'm glad he came with me. I left Christ the King under some unfortunate circumstances. I didn't want to leave, because the team we had assembled for that upcoming year, I thought was going to be a pretty special team. I had Chris at quarterback. Chris Howard, the lefty. I had Gene at wide receiver. I had Nakai at receiver. Sean Wilson was going to be there. We had the young ones, Naeem, that's there. Jordan Houston coming in. It was going to be a special group, man. But in today's world, it's a lot of hate going on, and a lot of jealousy. So, some undercutting stuff happened, and they wanted me out. So when I left, the first thing I did was, let me try to get Gene to come with me. He's a threat. What I'm saying? Think about it. He's the #1 wide receiver in the state. Why wouldn't he come with you? What I'm saying? Himself. I tried to get other receivers to come also. I tried to get Nakai to come, but he decided to stay back. But Sean Wilson followed, and for me, getting Gene was the key, because at that point in time, Gene had 2 years. So I figured 2 years with me and what we can do in our offense, he'll be special. It only took 1 year for him to become the #1 receiver in the state. break the receiving yards, whatever the most receiving yards in the state, most touchdowns in the state by a receiver, and just be the best leader he can be. You know, it's a lot of things that go along with being a great receiver, you know, and he's still learning. Still got some things he needs to work on, but, you know, for me, I can want those things for Gene, but Gene hasn't want them for himself. Oh, that's a tough one, you know what I'm saying, because I've had some good receivers, some great receivers that I've coached, you know what I'm saying, the likes of Taysom Mack, Kareem Davis, Ahmed Ba, Kyle Brisfield, Talik Battle, Jarrell Billups, you know what I'm saying, Dante Goodwin. So I've had some good ones, but Gene's almost like a combo of a couple of those guys because he's a great route runner. He catches the ball real good. You know, he's fast enough, he's speedy, you know, and he got a little shiftiness with him. Not much, but just a little bit, you know what I'm saying? So I would say he'll be a mashup of a few of the receivers that I've had before. Man, you know, if you doubt me and you don't know me, you know what I'm saying, I just look at it as you being jealous. You being jealous is being a hater. You know what I'm saying? Those who know me, who come into the circle, they know what I do when it comes to these kids. You know, any kids that come in my circle, I help get recruited. You know, I try to give them as much exposure as they can. You know, and I treat them like they're my own. You know what I'm saying? There's not a kid that can't say I didn't yell at them but then turn around and pat them on their butt. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me, pause. Or yell at them and then turn around and pat them on their back, you know what I'm saying, lift them up and things like that. You know what I'm saying? There's not one kid that, from my current quarterback, Richard Perkins, to my hustle quarterback, Chris Howell, my quarterback, Noah Bolden, that's currently, you know, who's leaving Grambling now. Like, every last one of them can tell you the same thing. And also every player that's played for me. So for me, if you're in my circle, I'm gonna bend over backwards for you. I'm gonna do what I can for you, get your shirt off my back, you know what I'm saying, give you my last dime. You know, because that's how I am when it comes to that. But the ones who don't know me, who just spew all their negativity and everything else, that's just a problem with yourself because, you know, you don't know me.
My first impression was just a real social guy that just was a straight shooter. And I kind of loved that. I loved his honesty and him just being real. I felt like I can deal with him from a personal level, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can have a relationship, you know, we're very close in age. And this is the first time I felt like, you know what, this is like me coaching my son, you know, putting him in a position that somebody I know is gonna care for him, somebody that's really gonna develop him, somebody that's really gonna invest in him, not just putting him with somebody that couldn't identify with my son from a skill set perspective and from a young black male. I felt like it was a good fit, you know. That's why me going to Christ, him bringing Gene to Christ the King was a no-brainer for me. Having an all-black coaching staff, although Bruce wasn't the head coach, he was perceived as the head coach, the recruiter, you know, the offensive guru, the person that was getting everything in motion. So I felt like it was a really good opportunity for Gene to develop, you know, underneath that type of program. Well, my initial reaction was devastation. Like, what are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Like, how you know, Bruce, that is the program. You know what I'm saying? Like, what we gonna do now? You know, like P. Diddy said, what we gonna do now? That's how I felt. But now, you know, once the dust settled and all the smoke cleared, and we understand that he had to, you know, leave the program, you know, I knew that, you know, I trust God and everything that's going on. Things happen for a reason, you feel what I'm saying? I would say once we knew that he wasn't gonna return, I knew immediately I was gonna return. I wouldn't trust anybody at Christ King with my son other than Bruce. The majority of the staff left with him as well. So there was no reason for us to be there. So, you know, Bruce and I immediately had conversations. We had our options open into the public schools we was gonna be going to in Brooklyn, mainly Canarsie. And it was a no-brainer for us. It was an absolute no-brainer. Met with Brian Ellis, whose reputation precedes him, real respectable coach and football mind. You know, his resume speaks for himself as well as a former collegiate player. His family has NFL pedigree. So it was a no-brainer that we coming into something more special. So we left Christ the King and it was for the better. Because Gene was coming at a 7-on-7 circuit, New York Hustle with Bruce all spring, iron sharpened, and moving into a situation at Canarsie with Bruce to just take over New York City from a public school PSAL perspective. So, you know, it was a no-brainer for me to follow Bruce. You know, people ask me all the time, why would you send your kid to Canarsie, and why would you leave Christ the King and go to Canarsie? And I said, because my son is trying to be a football player. He wants to go to college to play football. And Bruce has been developing Gene for the last year and a half, 2 years. So it's a no-brainer for me to keep him with him. And I know that if he continues to develop under Bruce's tutelage, you're going to eventually go to college and play. And, you know, things are coming to fruition. So it was the best decision we ever made. I thank God that Bruce left Christ the King, because of the success we had in the last year in such a short time is incredible. You're talking about a year from now today, we will probably finishing up a pretty bad spring league at Christ the King 4-game season to now Gene having, you know, an unbelievable PSAL season, leading the city in all types of yards, receptions, touchdowns, and having 7 scholarships offers come his way in less than a year. So it's a pretty amazing transition. So I think we made the right decision. Oh man, the biggest misconception about Bruce is how much he loves these kids. You see, people make it about themselves. The adults, the other coaches that criticize Bruce, they don't feel like, they don't know Bruce growing up, obviously, because Bruce is from New Orleans and he came out here. That's number one. So they don't have the relationship with him. Number two, they don't realize what he's really doing for these kids. They make it about themselves, and they're jealous that he has such relationships all over the country, football-wise. If it's Division I, Division II, Division III, high schools, he has relationships with coaches all over the place. So he can speak on kids' behalf, kids that he knows, and coaches trust him. So, you know, a lot of coaches get, you know, in their feelings, and they hate on the fact that they can't do what he does with less, you know. And I think people just have to sit down and really understand what he's really doing for these kids. Like, he's coming from New Orleans and he's helping all these kids in New York. You understand what I'm saying? And he's getting an endless amount of kids into college. He runs the New York Hustle program. He has the opportunity to touch kids from other school programs, private schools, you know, public schools, and he's helping those kids get into college. And the same coaches that those kids play for don't like Bruce, don't like the fact that they play New York Hustle, but they can't help their kids get into college like Bruce can. Bruce can speak on their behalf better than their coaches can. Bruce has the relationships with the coaches that those kids want to play at or play for. So, you know, the misconception is just not understanding what he really does for these kids and how Bruce Eugene alone has brought New York football way up the totem pole. You know, from a national circuit 7-on-7, he brought that to New York City. New York City wasn't playing 7-on-7 like that. Now we have programs left and right splintering off of us and resembling what we're doing and playing in national tournaments. You know, the youth program has also, you know, came up. You know, everybody sees exactly what the potential is with the New York City talent. So I think Bruce is responsible for a lot of that. He's a big recruiter, so he's gonna bring up the recruiting game for other coaches. You know, because for you to compete with him, you got to get on your recruiting level too. So overall, it just benefits the kids in New York City, and New York football. So I think overall that's pretty much the big misconception. A lot of haters.
I met Coach Bruce at Christ the King in the auditorium. Him and another coach took me backstage, and he was like telling me about the school and what he's done for other players. And me personally, I wasn't really jacking it. I just wanted to stay in Jersey. I didn't want to go, but I went and changed my life.
What changed your life?
Basically, him really like taught me the game, taught me how to play my position, exposed me, and I shined with the opportunities he gave me. Oh, he showed me his phone. He was like, he typed in coach and was scrolling about all the college coaches he had in his phone. And I was like, if he my coach, I'm definitely going to college for free. So that really took it right there. When I found out coach was leaving, I immediately thought, like, what I'm gonna do now. My pops was telling me we're gonna follow him, but I was chopped on. Like, I wanted to go to E-Hall, just like every other kid. So I kind of wanted to go there, and plus I had family there, so I'm like, I want to go there. But then I was thinking about it, like, I can't leave my coach like that. He kind of made me who I am, so me leaving him, that would be messed up, so I stuck to the script.
So the loyalty factor.
Facts.
Okay. That's huge to you, right? Loyalty?
Facts. Gotta stay loyal. The biggest misconception about Coach Bruce is the way he really is. He's not like using you for like money or like the offers you get are fake. Like he's actually like a good coach. Like you know he's talking about. He gonna get you there. He gonna do his best for you. He gonna stay by your side. And then if you need something, he gonna give it to you. He like look out. He more than like a coach sometimes.
Everybody, I am Lincoln Jacobs. I am the director of this beautiful, documentary, but I am also one of Gene's first coaches in high school. So when I first met Gene was a ball of energy. He was extremely exciting. He was exciting to watch. He was exciting to be around. He was just extremely happy to, be a part of the team. He was happy to be there. He was happy to practice. Everything was just joyful and very, very playful. I tend to have better relationships with some of my players because we're kind of around the same age, so we relate to the same things. But the thing that, that's important to me when I'm coaching some of these younger players is just having that respect factor and knowing when we can joke and when we cannot joke. And, Gene did a really good job of that. And that's why me and Gene are really close now. When I first met Bruce, because everybody's talking about when they first met Bruce, so Bruce reached out to me when I was graduating college. So a lot of people don't know that, but I played at Grand Street campus, and at the time, Bruce was the head coach there, and he had reached out to me on Facebook asking me did I want to come back and coach. Do you remember that? So he reached out to me, and one of the things that was super important to me, like I said, I just finished playing my senior year in college at SUNY Brockport, won a championship. Coaching was super important to me. I wanted to give back, and then having the opportunity to give back at my old high school was extremely important to me. So Bruce giving me that opportunity was phenomenal, and me and Bruce has been damn near hip to hip, every step of the way, from winning championships at Grand Street to the BS at Christ the King to now being at Canarsie. So we have a really good relationship. He's kind of like a big brother to me. He's a mentor to me. I've learned a lot about football from being around him, and I can honestly say that I've learned, more from being around him than I actually did in my years playing. Like if I had some of the knowledge that Bruce gave me as a coach when I was playing, oh yeah, no way I'm not in the league.
What's the misconception
of Bruce? Oh, this is the part I was waiting for. I was waiting for somebody to ask me. The biggest misconception about Bruce is everything that is on the internet. From NYC football to the people that coach with him, people that coach against him. The biggest misconception is that Bruce is not one of the best coaches in New York City for sure, but one of the best coaches in the world. We get a lot of kids offers. We put kids in positions to be successful, and people downplay that just off the strength that he's not from New York. But one of the things I tell people and social media all the time is that Bruce has done more for a lot of New York City kids than people that has grew up in New York City culture, played New York City football, and I think that's what really gets people upset. When you don't have the ability to reach out to as many people as Coach Bruce can and get people into places, it upsets you when Bruce is, your kid is doing New York Hustle with Bruce, for example, and they come back from the trip with an offer, and you realize like, yo, dang, I had this kid on my team for 3 years, and, we couldn't even get a coach in the door. It just goes to show you that how important relationships are, and, when you've played the caliber of football that Bruce has played, naturally that's what comes with it. When you lead, the NCAA in the most career touchdowns in history, naturally, you're respected, and you should be. You've earned that right. And a lot of people downplay that. There's coaches in the PSAL, there's coaches in the Catholic League that's never played even high school football. There's coaches that read textbooks and think that they're football experts. How can I express to a kid what I want him to do if I've never done it before? I've never been in these positions to where it's like, okay, cool, you got to go up for the ball because I wasn't playing. I was on the sideline. I was reading a book. That type of real life experience that not only Coach Bruce, but the real life experience that we at Canarsie football can give these kids is a better experience than 95% of the coaches in New York City, because damn near everybody on the coaching staff has played some type of collegiate football, whether it was D1, D2, D3, we've all done it. And we've all been really successful at doing it, you know? So I think that's one of the biggest misconceptions about Bruce. Bruce is one of the most nicest guys. He's humble. Does he talk trash? Of course he does. But like I said, when you've done the things that he's done, it's not a lot of people that can stand toe-to-toe resume-wise and be like, yeah, I've done some of those same things. At the end of the day, you know, men lie, women lie, numbers don't. So keep that in the back of your mind when you worrying about Bruce and you hating.